biological diversity and bioprospection for human welfare. That shows there are two main issues which I am going to discuss. Number one is biological diversity of the country. The other one is bioprospection. What is bioprospection and all that I will tell during the course of my talk. And this is my email ID. Those of you who want to interact with me even after your course is over, you can always note down my email and be in touch with me. I am always happy to do whatever I can. Uh, Biological diversity, in fact, has been defined variously by different people. This is simply biodiversity. According to me, there is an animal, there is a crab, there is a bird, there is a mollusca, there is a plant. All living organisms of a given region are said to be the biological diversity. Now, this can be measured from any small region to global level, biological diversity, all the living organisms of a given region. Or biological diversity can be measured within the same family also, that is Papilionaceae. Now this is in one family, the number of different types of biological types you can find is biological diversity or biodiversity of the family Papilionaceae. That is also possible. Or within the same genus, this is Utricularia genus, within the same Utricularia genus, so the diversity of genus Utricularia in India, if you want to discuss, I think all these species, whatever it is available, you can just bring and then try to discuss. So we can discuss within the same species, within the same genus also, or within the same species also you can see the variation, and this is more important. This is what is called the infraspecific diversity, or the diversity at even the genetic or the phenotypic level. This is the very important diversity. Many a time, diversity means we always go in terms of number of species. Biodiversity is not a game of number. That all of us should remember. Biodiversity is not a game of number, but it is the total diversity. Say Ravolfia serpentina is one species, but within one species, when you survey from Kanyakumari to Kashmir, you are going to end up with a large number of chemotypes, cytotypes, morphotypes, cytotypes. All those variations are in fact diversity. So therefore, infraspecific diversity is more important. Unfortunately, we have not been able to give much attention to the diversity. We have been talking only in terms of number of species. In India, how many species are there? Very quickly, we will say, oh, there are 18,000 species of flowering plants. But that is not the diversity. It is only a partial diversity. We are only telling that you should remember. Now, this figure, at least, again, I think this is discussed already, species diversity, genetic diversity, and ecological diversity, three levels of diversity, which says the diversity of habitats that support distinct flora and fauna. This is very important because in India, we have enormous ecological diversity centers. Now, that I will discuss again. Now, these are the figures which I have given here. There is no sanctity in these figures because these figures go on changing when more and more botanical explorations are conducted, and when more and more new species are added, the species number goes on changes. But remember, this is not the total diversity. 18,250 is not the diversity because this is only in terms of number, and infraspecific diversity within the same species, the amount of diversity is definitely not known. Even after 500 years, perhaps we will not be able to assess the diversity of the country. I think that is the richness of our country that I think we should all feel proud. And large number of endemic plants are there in our country. You can see the number of endemic plants. Angiosperms, out of these 251 families are endemic. 4,303, roughly, I think one third of our flora is endemic. Now, what is the significance of endemic plants? That also I will, you please keep in your mind. Endemic plants are not just plants that occur in a particular place. In case any uh, uh, product development takes place, tomorrow you are able to develop a product, the entire royalty rests within our country. In fact, the benefit go to our own country. Suppose you use the genetic material from some other country, say a plant from China, and develop a product, 50% of the royalty you have to share. So therefore, endemic plants play a major role. I think this also I will show with some examples. I will discuss. I think some of these things. These are all the species named in my name only. I was showing you this one. Every day, every year, we are adding new species to our existing flora. So therefore, these are all species that have been added in my name. And I was talking of the endemic plants. There are 3,471 endemics in the Himalaya alone. Now, Himalaya is a wonderful area for us that I will discuss. And the next one is the Western Ghat. Western Ghat is also a good area where there are large number of endemic plants there are. And in Andaman, 250 species roughly are endemic plants. Now, endemic, the richness of the any country showing high concentration of endemic plant indicates the originality or the original flora of the country, and that makes the country strong. Remember, after the Rio de Janeiro Convention, so we had a convention called the Global Convention. I think you should understand this. There was a global convention which was held in Rio de Janeiro, and that was called the Convention on Biological Diversity, and commonly referred to as CBD. I think you should remember what is CBD. CBD, after the CBD, every country in the world have realized that countries having the rich flora, rich biodiversity are going to rule the world and not the dollar rich nations like America. Now, this is a statement, I think, which should make us feel proud, because India is one country in this part of the world has high concentration of flora and fauna, high diversity is there. The other country, comparatively, it's a strong competitor for us is China. So India is going to rule the world in the coming decades because we have a very rich concentration of flora and fauna. But remember, keeping a high concentration of the high diversity of flora and fauna doesn't make a country strong. Until and unless you utilize these bioresources, convert the biological wealth into economic wealth so that country can become strong. So keeping biodiversity alone cannot make the country very strong. That we should keep. So therefore, we need to go for bioprospection and product development at the global level so that the country's economy increases and India becomes strong. Now, there are large number of reasons why there is so much of rich biodiversity in the country. Number one is Indian region is considered to be a cradle of flowering plants. Why cradle of flowering plants? Because Indian region is said to be a place where angiosperms have not only originated but diversified in this region. Large number of angiosperms. There are almost 131 primitive flowering plants. According to Russian scientist Takhtajan, the country or the region, whichever the region has more number of flowering plants, that region is considered to be a cradle of flowering plants where angiosperms have originated and diversified. I think all these things you should keep it in your mind, because this is an important topic to be discussed in your classrooms also later on. 50% of the global aquatic biodiversity occurs here. This is another thing you should understand. Every alternate aquatic plant is an Indian plant. This makes us feel very proud. And Indian region is also one of the Hindustani center of origin of cultivated species. When you talk of cultivated species, Hindustan, it's the Hindustani region, large number of crops we have given to this world. And this rich diversity is concentrated in 3 or 4 places which have just showing here: Himalaya, Western Ghat, Northeast India, Andaman Nicobar. These are the 4 or 5 places which I also call hotspots. Now, why hotspots I call them? Because these are the areas where there is maximum anthropogenic disturbance. This is again important. What is an hotspot? Hotspots are areas where there is high concentration of native flora or endemic flora, but at the same time, these areas are subjected to anthropogenic disturbances. So much so, 70% of the original forest is already lost. So this should make rich diversity, rich flora. Other side, we have so many 4 hotspots in our country, which renders these 4 hotspots, 70% of the original flora is completely destroyed. Himalaya, you take for example, 70% of the original forest we have already lost. Western Ghat, when you talk, Western Ghat is another rich area. It is not 70%, 90% of the original forests are completely lost. So therefore, Western Ghat region is considered to be a hottest hotspot area. So we should not feel proud to say India has hotspots, but we should feel sorry to say that India has 4 hotspots, because in these areas we have lost more than 70% of the original forest. Now, what is available, that itself makes the country very rich. So you can imagine if all the entire flora would have been there, what would have been the position of India in the global situation today. Now, these are all some of the major countries I have shown, the mega diverse countries, the green ones only, just to understand all these things are, I have just shown India is one mega diverse country, and these are the hotspots. As I told already, I have told hotspots are areas where there is high concentration of the levels of high endemism. At the same time, serious levels of habitat loss. 70% of the original forest is lost. And I try to add to the hotspots, in Indian hotspots, some of the other areas like sacred groves. I want to add sacred groves also to hotspots. Why? Because see, there may not be very rich endemic flora, but at the same time, I would like to add sacred forests also under this category, because these sacred forests have become death traps to flora and fauna today. The I will when I discuss sacred forests, I will narrate more about this. But understand, these are the four hotspots: Himalaya, Indo-Burma, Sundalands, Western Ghats, and Sri Lanka. These are all the four hotspots in our country, and this you should never forget, and you should try to always keep. Why there is so much concentration? Number one is diverse habitats in India. What is habitat? Habitat is the one which supports flora and fauna. Now we have diverse habitat. India is the only country in the world where you can think of any habitat you can think of on this globe, you find in India. So this is the, it makes us proud. Any habitat you think of on this globe, we have in our country. That diverse habitat. We have dry deserts, cold deserts, wetlands, tropical habitats, wetland areas, mangroves, evergreen, dry deciduous, all kinds of habitats we find here, and that is one thing. And also ecological conditions so vary. Highest rainfall area in the world, lowest rainfall area. Highest altitude known for a flowering plant in the world, again we get in India. And Gondwana connection. India was one of the, in the geologic past, India was a part of a huge continental landmass, and that was called Gondwana connection. That means all the southern continents like Africa, South America, Australia, New Zealand, all these land masses united in a huge landmass, and that was Gondwana connection. And because of this, we have elements from all these countries, huge number of African elements, South American elements we have in our country, and that makes India very rich in terms of biodiversity. And Himalaya acts as an active speciation zone. Please understand, all teachers should know this, that Himalaya is the only mountain system in the world which is said to be the youngest chain of mountains, having originated some 60 to 70 million years ago from Tethys seabed. And all the remaining mountain, I think I will show you this. Yes, this is the diagrammatic representation. All these mountains, Chinese mountains, are 300 million years old. Whereas the Mediterranean region, Irano-Turanian region, the mountains are also 300 million years old, whereas the Himalayan system is only 60 to 70 million years old. And therefore, any flora and fauna that we find in the Himalaya either must have come from Chinese mountains or from the Mediterranean region. That is a common thinking. But we also say 40% of the Himalayan flora is endemic. Endemic is the plant occurs only in the Himalaya and nowhere else. So from where these endemic plants have originated, and that shows these plants, when they have migrated, these species from the far off 1500 to 2000 kilometer away, they have migrated, they have passed through unfavorable conditions. And during the course of the phytogeographic migration, the flora and fauna, they have changed so much, their genetic system and even the phenotypic makeup has changed so much. By the time they have reached Himalaya, they have become almost independent species. Same Burberry species, what we find in the Chinese have entered here, but the 98% of Burberry species in the Himalaya are endemic. Can you imagine? High concentration of endemic plants are there. Same rhododendron we find, what we find in the Chinese, we find here. The genus is same, but the species are completely different. That shows Himalaya is an active zone of speciation. Even today, new species are being added to this country through the Himalayas. So we have understood the biodiversity is quite rich. There is no second thought about this. But as I said, keeping a rich biodiversity alone will not make the country strong. What we need to do is converting our biological wealth into economic wealth is the main objective of all biological scientists in the 21st century. That is the one thing I think we have to do. Anything you do, whatever aspects of biological science you do, but ultimate aim should be to convert our biological wealth into economic wealth. So that must be the one. How do we do that? It is by bioprospection. We can select bioprospection. What is bioprospection? Again, I will tell in the end. It is scanning the biodiversity to identify better molecule, better genes, better medicinal plant, so that we can go for product development. That's the number one. And today, because of this, all the countries have taken it as a big challenge to conserve their biodiversity, understand their biodiversity, and also document their biodiversity. And India is also facing a greatest challenge today in these aspects: collecting, identifying, naming, conserving, and go for bioprospection is a big challenge, because India is not a small country and the biodiversity is not small, enormous biodiversity. So scanning biodiversity for bioprospection is also not a small job. It is a big challenge. So I will very quickly take you to different parts of the country, show what we have and what we can do. These are all different colors which indicate different bio provinces or phytogeographic provinces. Each one of this zone is considered to be a kind of habitat for different kinds of flora and fauna. For example, Trans Himalaya are the cold deserts of India. Extreme northern part of India is the cold desert of India, extremely. Similarly, in the Deccan region, coastal region, I will come quickly, but don't wait. This is from my own phytogeographic book. I have taken this map, and you take this. This is the extreme, the Trans Himalaya. In Trans Himalaya, we have specific habitat, very curious, or the cushion forming habit is the one which is very typical of the cold deserts. I think you should remember this. All these plants which I have made here, they are all cushion forming or clump forming habit, and that is because of the extreme severe conditions, severe cold, severe hot, and very dry climate, and the harsh climate will not allow any plants to grow, any normal plant to grow in this region. So therefore there are specific plants which are all adapted to this region, and when you enlarge one colony, you will see thousands of plants get aggregated together to form a colony. So this is the cushion forming habit. And why this is? Because the area is so harsh, nothing can grow there. Harsh means the diurnal temperatures fluctuation is so great. Diurnal temperature may be 40 degree, and in the night it goes to minus 40 degree. Can you imagine the fluctuation? Even the rocks get cracked. You don't find a rock in any of these places. Like, for example, Lahore Spiti, Ladakh, all these regions, if you go, you don't find a rock, because even the rocks get cracked. That's why this region is considered to be the land of the rock ruins. So that is the one. Such harsh climate, rocks cannot sustain there. Such harsh climate. So some of these plants grow and adapt. They have adapted themselves to live in such harsh conditions. And what are those plants? I have just listed here. I don't want to read, but understand there are specific kinds of plants like Thylacospermum, Acantholium lycopodiides, Ephedra, Hippophae. These are some of the typical species, but at the same time, they are all highly genetic resources. They are all genetic resources, very important. Go for bioprospection, just to show how the Ladakh region shows and all that. Now this is the two plants you can see here. The how they look, clump forming or diminutive habit and all that, you can just understand. And also we are all very proud to say that highest altitude known for a flowering plant in the world, which has entered the Guinness Book of Record, is this plant, Christolia himalayensis, highest altitude, that is 6,300 meters in the Himalayan region. So that is also in the cold deserts of Himalaya. So remember, Christolia himalayensis, a brassicaceae plant, which has made a name in the Guinness Book of Record, because that is the highest altitude known for a flowering plant. I think you should remember all these names. Yes. This is that plant. Those of you are interested, Crystolia himalayensis, this is this plant, I think. Um, and in the 500 meters, when you come down from 500 meters to down, we have huge alpine areas. Alpine areas are very beautiful, very, very beautiful. I don't think we can explain through any of the photographs or slides like this, but they are extremely beautiful. The plants are showing typical characters. What are those typical characters? Number one is they are all gregarious in flowering. Once it flowers, any plant flowers, it flowers throughout the entire population. Everywhere it flowers on a particular day. And they are all ephemeral in nature. Ephemeral in the sense they complete their life cycle in a very short span of time. If the flowering time is only for 2 or 3 days, third day they all die off and some other plant takes the flower. So ephemeral in nature is one important character, and gregarious flowering. And also the third important character is, compared to the size of the plant, the flowers are very conspicuous to attract the insects. Insect population is very low. So these are all the three important characters that we find here. And again, there are wonderful plants which are all highly important medicinal plants, which I call Sanjeevani also. I will come to that. Now, the the famous Valley of Flowers, I think we must have all heard of this. It is a typical alpine area in our country, and we should all feel proud that we have places like this. Valley of Flowers, this is a Valley of Flowers, and it is in Uttarakhand. Very beautiful. And every day when you go on, say, particular August second week, when you go, every day there will be a different color there because of the rhythmic in nature that flowering is. See, when potentilla flowers, whole area will be red. When gentiana flowers, whole area will be blue. Depending upon the type of species, the area completely covers. Sometimes you find it difficult to walk because of the we have to step on very beautiful flowers. See, we have no place to walk. Such beautiful area. But now, this was also called in the epic literature, it is the Garden of Indra. The Valley of Flowers was called Garden of Indra, or Nandan Kanan it was called. And also, you must, in the Ramayana, there is a mention called the Kakabusandi Valley, which is also very near to this Valley of Flower, where Hanuman has supposed to have visited this place for collection of Sanjeevani. Now, I will come to that point. Now, Ramayana, of course, we are all very familiar. And Lakshman becomes unconscious in the war in Sri Lanka with Ravan and Ram war. And Lord Hanuman was sent to bring Sanjeevani from Himalaya, but not from Western Ghat. Can you imagine? Western Ghat is very near, but he was sent to Himalaya. Why? Because even during the epic days of Ramayana, Himalaya was known as a place where plants like Sanjeevani are growing. Now, what is Sanjeevani? The question comes now, what is Sanjeevani? Sanjeevani is that miraculous plant which can bring back to life almost a dead person. That is the definition of Sanjeevani. Any plant that can bring back to life almost a dead person. So that kind of plant existed or grow in the Valley of Flowers. That is the Sanjeevani herbs. Hanuman comes. And Hanuman was an ardent servant of Ram, and he was not able to identify the plant. That also you story, you all know this, since he could not identify, because taxonomy was difficult even for Lord Hanuman also. So what he did, he takes the mountain and goes back to Sri Lanka. When he takes back to Sri Lanka, Lord Ram was, very conservation conscious person, and he scolds Hanuman, you have you are killing all these plants because you have brought the whole mountain, and all these plants will die here. No, you take the Sanjeevani and go and put this mountain back, he orders Lord Hanuman. Lord Hanuman comes again carrying that mountain, and after all, he being a monkey god, on the way he thinks Lord Ram is not correct because war is going on between Ram and Ravan. War is going on. Now putting this mountain back in that area is not so important for me. I must go back to Sri Lanka. He thinking that, he throws that mountain in between and goes back to Sri Lanka. And that mountain, which is which fell down is said to be the Gandhamardhan Parvat in Orissa. And that today, large number of plants that we find in Himalayan region, we find in that region, and that is only a story to connect phytogeographic link. But whether you believe in Ramayana or not, whether you accept or not, this was known as a place where Sanjeevani like plants are growing in the Himalaya. That means wonderful medicinal plants are there in the Himalaya. Now, even today, large number of plants are available in the Himalaya. We surveyed a large number of plants in the Valley of Flowers. In fact, first survey was ours when I was in the botanical survey. And almost 250 species of medicinal plants we collected. And every plant is so important, but we don't have a product. Now, can you imagine when we know highly important medicinal plants are there? Why should we not bring a global level product and change the economy? I think you must all seriously think about this. We have a plant, this is used for jaundice, this is used for cancer. We know very effectively. And when we know very effectively, why are we not being able to bring out one product at a global level? That I will discuss now. Now, DRDO people have also surveyed, and they say rhodiola is a plant which can be equated to the modern Sanjeevani plant based on the ethnic knowledge of the local people. That is the Ladakhi name, Solo. Solo is the name. And they say Rhodiola wallichiana is the modern Sanjeevani plant which has got the nullifying effect of gamma radiation. I think that's a wonderful medicinal plant, and I have given it all these slides. Those teachers who are all interested, you can always copy this, no problem. It's a wonder plant. It has immunomodulatory, adaptogenic, and radio protecting abilities due to presence of secondary metabolites. I think this is such a wonderful plant. Our honorable Prime Minister also made a reference, I think you must have heard in the TV sometime back, that there are plants like this in Ladakh region, and we need to bring out such plants for the overall good or overall the welfare of human being of the global level. So what it means is that we should try to go for identifying such global level important plants so that we can go for product development. I think such wonderful plants are also there. This is that Rhodiola wallichiana, which is a cold desert plant, wonder plant that has immunomodulatory adaptogenic plant. I think this is the one. Now, in fact, I surveyed also a large number of these medicinal plants, Chromanthodium. Don't worry about the names and all that because that may intoxicate you. So, Aconitum, Heterophyllum, Saxifraga, Oxytropis, large number of important medicinal plants are there. But understand, is a storehouse of medicinal plant. Himalayan region is a storehouse of medicinal plants where each one is having properties like Sanjeevani. Now, don't say that this is Sanjeevani plant. I cannot say Potentilla microphylla is a Sanjeevani plant. Don't think that one. But it has that miraculous property of bringing back to life almost. That means wonderful medicinal properties we have. Therefore, there is possibility that we should go for product development. But unfortunately, we have failed. Why? I will tell later on. Again, when you come down 500 meters, 200 meters down, we have temperate flora in the Himalaya. Temperate flora means all either temperate conifer forests or temperate broad-leaved forests can be there. I think you as teachers, you all know this. These are all the Abies, this is Abies spectabilis, this is Abies webiana, Cedrus deodara, these are the ones. And in between, as an undergrowth, we have plants like this Aconitum. Aconitum is a highly important medicinal plant. Highly important medicinal plant. It has tubers, the underground tubers, and those tubers cost almost 2,000 to 3,000 rupees per kg. It's a very costly medicinal plant. The local people go sell it to local pharmaceutical companies so that the species has become critically endangered today. 5 kilometers, even if you walk in the Himalaya, you may not get 5 plants. That is to this extent. Now, we are all so proud in our country that biotechnology can do wonders. Why not biotechnologists come forward, take this plant, multiply this in truckloads? Why can't you multiply this in truckload, cartload, so that you can become rich, country becomes rich? Why should we not do this? This is again a question that has to be answered now. Everybody can, I think you should develop entrepreneurship on each one of these plants. Now this is betula, important, again important plant, medicinal plant, but also religious plant also. It is an indicator species which limits the distribution of tree limit. It indicates the tree limit in the Western Himalaya. So these are all the plant. It gives out a bark, in fact the peels off a bark, and that bark was used by the rishis to write the epic literature also. That's one thing. Yes. Now we have uh, also important plants in the Western Himalaya, like the divine drink soma. You must have heard of the plant, the somras. Somras in the Vedic literature. In the Aryans literature, you must have heard of the drink. Now, today, we are all, when you talk of psychoactive or a beverage, you all fall back on the Scotch whiskey. I think we are all paying so much of money for buying the Scotch whiskey. I think everybody is familiar, and one gentleman is laughing also. I do not know. Yes, Scotch whiskey comes from Scotland. It's a very small country. Any district in our country is much larger than Scotland. And that Scotland is making money. They are harvesting money from both hands by this beverage. Whereas in India, we had a beverage which was 1,000 times much better than the Scotch whiskey. That was Somras. Highly intoxicating, highly invigorating, highly antiphatic tonic drink. It is said the active principle in Soma passes through the alimentary system of human beings almost unmetabolized. Understand, teachers should, I think you should know all this, even if you don't teach this, but you should understand. The active principle or the psychoactive principle in Soma passes through the alimentary system of human beings almost unmetabolized. Whatever property the soma has, when the person urinates, even the urine also has the same property. So the poor people of those days who were unable to afford soma, those days they used to go collect the urine of those fellows who had taken soma, and they used to drink urine. Now you can imagine, now it may appear to be something unusual to you, but understand, people were prepared to drink soma because, I'm sorry, urine, because of that the property. That was the strength of soma. They were even prepared to drink urine because of this soma. That means the property was, soma was so strong that unfortunately, we have forgotten our Soma. We don't know what is that plant. We do not know the technology. 5,000 years old. Soma is 5,000 years old. We have forgotten our this. Today, Scotch whiskey has monopolized and taking. Suppose we resurrect Soma. What is Soma? We resurrect the technology. We can knock off the monopoly of Scotland. I think India can become rich. One plant can change the economy of the country. I think that is the kind of things that we should try to think now. There are a large number of, again, each one is an important medicinal plant. This is, Picrostylis, Nardostachys, Jetamansi. This is supposed to have been planted by Adi Shankaracharya. This is a tree. Can you see this? This is in Joshimath. I do not know, any of the teachers have visited Badrinath and all that. I do not know. If they have visited, they must have seen this tree near Joshimath. This is one of the oldest trees. If this has been planted by Adi Shankaracharya, Adi Shankaracharya lived in 7th century. If that is the case, this must be the oldest tree. Now, what makes this tree to survive for such long period? What is this? Is there something special in this? Is there a special gene? Can we harvest the gene and transfer the gene to some of the common plant so that the senescence can be postponed? Now you can think, see, the moment you see a property, how best we can utilize this property for our own benefit. That should be in your mind. This property is there. I must take this property, put it in some other plant. Now the biotechnologists always, they proudly say that I can transfer any gene from any plant, any, whether it is related or unrelated. Take the genes and transfer, so that can we do this kind of thing? I think these are the things we should do. I think the playground is so vast in our country, but there are no players. This is unfortunate. The flora and fauna is so rich, playground is so vast, but there are no players. That is the one. Rhododendrons are a wonderful group. Now, very fast I will go now, because see, these are all rhododendrons. Can you see this? Rhododendrons, very beautiful group. I will show you some more rhododendrons and come back. These are all rhododendrons. These are all rhododendrons. These are all rhododendrons. Very beautiful. All these rhododendrons are confined to the Himalaya, particularly the East Himalayan region. We find all these rhododendron. Now, they are all arborescent. Arborescent means they are all tree species. Except for black color, almost all colors you can find in the rhododendrons. We feel very proud that we have rhododendrons like this. 98 species are there in our country. What is that we have made of this particular species? We have made nothing except making a beautiful photograph, putting it on the seminar rooms, colleges, schools, or projecting slides like this. Nothing that we have done. Now you go to the Edinburgh or in the Scotland, most of the nurseries have multiplied the Himalayan rhododendrons. They are selling our rhododendron species for 10 to 12 pounds for one seedling. 10 pound means almost 1000 rupees. 1000 rupees one seedling. Our rhododendrons are being sold in Scotland. And what is it we have done? We are only making photographs and say, oh, this is our plant, this is our plant. We are very proud. Biodiversity is rich. No other country has. Only we have been talking and nothing more we have done. So therefore, our attitude towards the flora and fauna should change. It is not that keeping, yeah, there is a beautiful plant and make it a photo and keep it. No. How best we can utilize this? Can we bring this to man-made settings? Develop agrotechnology, nursery technique, develop this, make this available in everywhere so that you become rich, country becomes rich. That's the attitude. And not that you should only freely serve. You make your own entrepreneurship development and make you become rich, country becomes rich. I think this is rhododendrons I just wanted to say. This is the queen of Himalayan flowers, Mecanopsis, wonderful plant, very beautiful. This is again Mecanopsis, Mecanopsis. There are so many plants which can be directly introduced into our gardens. Now, in the Eastern Himalaya, very quickly I will come. I think if there are any questions, you can ask me or even write to me later on. So there is no problem. If time permits, I will answer. Otherwise, you can interact with me. See, this is Eastern Himalaya. In the Eastern Himalaya, the diversity is so rich that, in fact, the richest botanical region in our country is Eastern Himalaya. Density may not be there, but the diversity is quite rich. And as I also said, it is one of the hotspots. In fact, it is one of the hottest hotspots. Hottest hotspot means 90% of the forest has gone. So northeastern region, in this region, the 90% of the original forests have been destroyed. When once you cut off the forest and abandon the area, succession takes place. And after 50 to 60 years, a kind of forest comes out, is a bamboo forest. So throughout the Himalayan region, in the northeastern region, enormous bamboo forests we find, and they are all cereal community. What is a cereal community? Cereal communities are those which come as a successional stage in the succession when we abandon, cut off the forest. So these are the forest, large number, 101 species of bamboos are there in the northeastern region, but even these bamboo forests are also being threatened today because of for paper making and industry. This is one species which comes to the service of man from cradle to cremation. When man is born, bamboo is needed. When man dies, bamboo is needed. See, such a wonderful plant, but unfortunately, we have not been able to make much use of. Now, northeastern region and the Himalayan region is a sanctuary of ancient and primitive angiosperms. Large number of primitive angiosperms you will find here in this, right? And it is a gateway for migration of floras from Tibet, China, Malaysia, all this region. And highest rainfall area is located here, like Masinram, Chirapunji, are the areas, highest rainfall areas, and maximum ethnic diversity. Now, this is next class I will tell. Maximum ethnic diversity means the tribal population, enormous tribal population, each one of these tribes have developed enormous amount of ethnic knowledge, which we call ethnic leads. And this lead is a ready-made information for us. They know that this plant is used for diabetes. It is a ready-made information. Flora is on one side, information connected with that is also on our side. Ready-made information. Only thing is take the plant, take the information, go for a product development. That we have not been able to do. There are a large number of botanical curiosities like Nepenthes, Sapria himalayana, Mitrasteman, Proplocnimus. These are all the wonderful biological curious plants in the northeastern region. The Sapria himalayana, this is Sapria himalayana, I am showing this by arrow. Sapria himalayana is a rootless, leafless, stemless parasite. Understand, this is a very extremely rare plant. I think first it was discovered in Namdafa, and later on one or two places the botanical survey people have discovered. This is the largest flower that we have in our country. Almost 35 to 40 centimeter it measures. Very attractive, but you cannot go nearer to this plant because it's very bad smelling. Extremely bad smelling, as if some dead animal is there. That is the kind of things you can see. And now, if this is so bad, why should we not identify the genes responsible for this? The biotechnology, you can make a trial and error method. Identify the genes. Take those genes, put it in some common plants that can be grown along the Indo-Pakistan border. In biological warfare, put those plants so that you can avoid people coming. That's another thing, number one. And this is a plant, the inflorescence is erect. It is a Musa velutina, where the inflorescence is erect instead of being pendulous. This is said to be one of the wonderful plants for kidney problems. Now, this is again a plant that we should identify for going for product development. Now, rhododendron, I think I talked about this. I also told that they are all selling in Scotland, and they are selling it. But in fact, we have large number of rhododendron in our country, but none we have been able to bring it under man-made setting. These are all the rhododendron I have already shown. Similarly, orchids are wonderful group in our country. Orchids, for example, look at this. All are very beautiful orchids. Everybody likes orchids, and so beautiful. Orchids are well known for their showy flowers, number one, and long lasting. Once the flower flowers, inflorescence comes, it will be for 2-3 months, it will be in flower. Such long lasting. And in India, we have almost 1,200 species of orchids in our country. But again, we have not been able to bring it to man-made setting. You go to Singapore, Thailand, Malaysia, some of these places, there are large number of orchid nurseries. They are selling and making money. They are not only directly they are selling these wild orchids, but they have hybridized and then improved so many good varieties, and there is a big trade, orchid trade. Why not in India? Now, that is again a question I am putting it to all the teachers. I should think that. Now, unfortunately, this is lady slipper orchid. All these three are lady slipper orchid. When it was discovered, it was sold for $2,000. Such a wonderful orchid. Now, they have all become critically endangered. This particular plant, you can see this in arrow I am showing, blue anda, it is called blue anda. This particular orchid was collected by Hooker. Hooker is the one who wrote Flora British India. I think you all teachers know this. Flora British India was written by J.D. Hooker. Now, Hooker, when he came to Chirapunji area for collecting the plants, he engaged 7 daily wage people to collect the plants. So he says in his own book that he was able to collect 7 men's headload of this particular orchid for planting it in the European nurseries, in European gardens. For planting in European gardens, he collected 7 men's headload of this particular orchid, taken away all these. They have ruthlessly eradicated, these British people, ruthlessly eradicated our flora. And today, in the Chirapunji area, even if you survey for 1 month, you will not be able to get even 7 plants. That means in 100 years' time, we have brought down the orchid wealth to this extent. So therefore, what remains today, we should now sustainably multiply them and sustainably utilize some of these orchids. Now, in the northeastern region again, much of the area is denuded like this. You can see, I told, because it is all forests have been removed, and this is highest rainfall area. When the forests have been removed, there is no topsoil. There is no topsoil to hold the trees. There is no tree to hold the topsoil. That is become a vicious circle. With the result, a kind of desertification has set in. all this desertic vegetation. But in some places, you can see here, some places we have dense pockets of forests, which are all sacred forests. Now, I think I will 5 minutes I will spend on this. Sacred forests are sacred because of religious beliefs attached to these forests. What is a sacred forest? Because if you collect some tree or cut some tree, belief is a tiger will come and kill you, snake will come and kill you, or your ancestors' lives are there, Atma will come and attack you. Some belief, and that belief has made this forest to survive. That is one important. Please understand this. Now, what is more great about this? This is the type of forest that existed throughout Northeast at one time. I hope you all accept with me. This is the type of forest, but because of the shifting agriculture and forest anthropogenic disturbances, we have destroyed the flora. And this type of forest existed. So therefore, once this type of forest existed throughout northeastern region, today they are all confined to certain pockets in between the hillocks. So therefore, I call this forest a living fossil community. Remember this one again. Living fossil community sacred forest, number one. What is great about this? You survey 1 kilometer in this. 1 kilometer, if you survey in this sacred groves, you are going to collect more than 1,500 species, which is much more than the entire state of Rajasthan. What we get in entire state of Rajasthan, we get in 1 kilometer. That is the richness of flora in the sacred groves of northeastern region, and which are all only small packets today. So that is the strength. So therefore, we need to protect. But unfortunately, what has happened today is there is a belief. What is that belief? A tiger will come and kill you. But today, in the name of what is called civilization, we are all educating the people. The local people are also getting trained in Mysore, Bangalore, Pune, Bombay, Calcutta. So they don't believe their own what forefathers say, what their parents say. Oh, tiger will come. They won't believe. They say, I will cut and see. But let me see what happens. So the belief attached to these sacred forests, which persisted for several millions of years, is being eroded today in the present century, present generation. In the very present generation, the ethnic, that belief is being eroded. So therefore, existence of these forests is a matter of time and chance. Therefore, they have become death traps today. So that's what I just want to say. I call them sacred forests in India. They have all become death traps today. So we don't know how long they are going to survive. Any questions you can ask at the lab. And I was in Meghalaya, we surveyed, we wrote large number of papers at that time. See, these are the plants that we find only in the sacred groves, but you don't find elsewhere. What is this Taxus baccata, Batricium, Helicia, Neat, Rolfia, some of the very interesting species in Meghalaya, other parts we did not find, only in the sacred groves. That shows the interesting flora that the sacred groves have. And the curious plant, Exbaclandia papulnia, it's one of the primitive flowering plant. Corylopsis himalayana, primitive flowering plants. Manglesia, these are all the plants that we collected in the sacred groves, right? And also large number of threatened plants are also growing there. And then there are the biologically curious plants I was talking. These are all biologically curious plants. Balanophora, and of course, Balanophora you must have also seen. This is Drosera indica, Burmani, and all that you must have seen right in Mysore. This is Nepenthes cassiana. Nepenthes cassiana is again endemic to Meghalaya and nowhere else. And what is it we have done? Again, oh, this is endemic plant, all that we boast so much. Botanical survey makes beautiful pictures of this and put it in the seminar room, all colleges, everybody. But the Nepenthes, the terminal tip contains a kind of digestive juice. The picture contains a kind of digestive juice, and that can absorb the animal protein directly. The Japanese scientists are working on this to develop peptic ulcers, medicine for peptic ulcers. But what have we done? We are only making beautiful photographs and putting it on this and showing in the slide. So therefore, this is high time now. It's not necessary that we should appreciate our flora. Yes, we should appreciate. 100 years we have done this. We have described this plant. Yes, we have described this. From Linnaean time onwards, we have been describing the flora, writing a floral diagram, how many stamens are there, how many, whether it is superior ovary, inferior ovary, it have been done. Nothing new we are doing. And you are also teaching the same thing. Nothing new you are teaching. What you are teaching is the same one which has been said about 100 years ago. So what is needed is the uniqueness of this plant. How does this uniqueness we can use? I think that reorient our syllabus, rethinking is necessary with regard to our flora and fauna. Now, I'm just showing this photo. This is some 50 years ago. This is me some 50 years ago. Understand, all along this place, Nepenthes was growing 50 years ago when I was in Shillong. And today, if you go to this area, the entire area is a potato field. Today converted into a potato field. A wonderful medicinal plant, one biologically curious plant has completely disappeared. Therefore, today, this is a protected species today. Therefore, the Meghalayan region has restricted collection of this plant. That's the one plant. Yes, I think, okay. Now, this plant, Manipur, in Sirohi lily, it is called the Sirohi lily or Lilium macleanae, confined to only Manipur, only in some hills of Manipur. When I joined service some 40 years ago, the directors of the botanical survey or senior scientists of those botanical survey those days, they used to, in the lectures, they used to tell, oh, this is a very rare plant, confined to only Sirohi hills and all that. The present day director also talks the same thing, very rare plant. So that means 50 years we have done nothing. What is it we have done? When we know that this is a very rare plant, when biotechnology is available, why should we not multiply and bring it to the man-made settings? Now, this is a question that you should all feel. You should put to yourself, feel ashamed to say that we have not been able to develop our own bioresources. This plant is sold again in Scotland nurseries. If you go, 13 pounds. 13 pounds in Edinburgh Botanical Garden. Our plant is being multiplied. They are selling this to 13 pounds at that time. Now it may be 15, 16, I do not know. So 13 pounds means 1,300 rupees. They are selling our plant and making money. And what we have done, beautiful photograph of this everywhere we are putting. Therefore, we need to popularize this and bring it to gardens. Role of horticulturists, nurserymen, they should all take a lead, develop an entrepreneurship, and you establish your own nursery. You become rich, country becomes rich. I think that you should always keep in your mind. I think some of these things I'm skipping because I will not be able to cover all this. Yes. No, I said about the primitive taxa, primitive flowering plants, cradle of flowering plants. I said some of the primitive genera in our country are these are the ones: Alnus, Aspidocaria, Betula, Eupelia, Expecladia, Metacarpus. All these names I do not want to say. These are all the ones, primitive flowering plants. Those of you are interested later on, you can always, you are free to take these slides. Now, Manglesia, Michaelia, these are all primitive flowering plants. You should teach it to your students. And because of the occurrence of large number of primitive flowering plants, northeastern region is considered to be a cradle of flowering plants where angiosperms have diversified and also they have originated many species. These are all primitive flowering plants. Some of the photographs, this also I have taken from net. Some of these photographs are all from net. So therefore you should not use these for publication. But yes, for talking, for lectures, you can always use this. This is wonderful medicinal, this plant. Now coming back to our own south, now South India, Western Ghat is again another important zone where there is unique flora, very rich flora, unique flora. And one important is Shola forests. What is a Shola forest? Shola forest come in between the hillocks. This is Shola. I think you should all, as teachers, you must have taken your students or you must have visited Kudremukh and all that, Nilgiris, all these areas. I think in this forest, they come in the valley of the mountains. Now here, the uniqueness is the wind action is so great, the tree trunks are all crooked. There is no straight bold tree you don't find. Number one, perennial source of water is there. Perennial source means there is always water flow is there, and epiphytic growth like bryophyte, pteridophytes, the lichens, mosses are so rich. They grow abundantly here. That is the uniqueness of Shola forest. And these Shola forests have become critically endangered today because of the perennial source of water is also being diverted. That's another problem. And in the northern part of Western Ghat, northern part, you can imagine Maharashtra region. When you go to Maharashtra region, the mountains are not flat, pointed. Normally, mountains are always pointed. But in the northern part, I think you must all visit this place. All the teachers should visit. If you don't visit, you will be losing something. In the northern part, the mountains are flat. Even you can aeroplanes can land there. So it is a flat topped mountains. And in these flat topped mountains, during September month, if you visit, there will be an ocean of flowers. Can you see this? Ocean of flowers, very beautiful flowers, September. You can see here, it is a mixture of utricularia, then smithia, and then Eriocolan, all this ocean of flower. Can you see here how much ocean of flower? Utricularia, plenty of utricularia, full of flowers and balsams, beautiful balsams. Now, thousands of tourists visit this area. Thousands of tourists visit this area. As botanists, we should also visit. Now, it is not necessary, it's a beautiful plant, beautiful plant. No, now you should think as a botanist, you should try to commercialize this, try to bring back, multiply this, and develop agrotechnology, nursery technique, so that you should bring it to the man-made settings. In our own gardens, you should be there, so that, as I told, India should become rich, you become rich, you should make money, and also conserve these plants. So that is what is required. Unfortunately, we are not doing this, but we'll, this is a beautiful plant, beautiful plant, oh, so nice. We don't need this beautiful or anything. We should think of how I can utilize, how can I make money. That you should get in your mind. How can I make money? Make money doesn't mean you go and bring from wild and sell it. I don't say that. You develop agrotechnology, multiply this, develop technology, use it sustainably, and that is what is needed today. Now, this is a plant, for example, again in the Western Ghat, I'm taking only one plant, I will skip all this. This is Trichopas zeylanicus. It's a very wonderful medicinal plant. The local people, the Adivasi people there, they say if they eat this, some small fruits are there, if they eat those fruits, it gives them so much of strength and energy that without eating food for the whole day, they can carry 50 kg weight on their back and climb the Agastyamalai mountains. Imagine, is it a miraculous plant? I will say it is a miraculous plant. Without eating food, anti-fatigue, without eating food, 50 kg you can carry, and it gives so much of strength. It is a miraculous plant. What is it we have done with this miraculous plant? Nothing. Why don't you develop a product from this? Take the fruit, develop some baby fruit, food, and it should be available everywhere. China, Japan, Russia, Malaysia, everywhere it should be available. That is what is called global level product. Once you develop a product like this, India can become rich. This is exactly what, but unfortunately, we have so many products in our country, but at all district level, national level, or only state level products are there. None have gone to the global level. I think what we need is we should develop such products, we should reach global level. You should say, for example, Coca-Cola, your toothpaste, your Colgate toothpaste, Nescafe, all countries are available. Africa you go, Japan you go, Germany you go, America you go, you are available everywhere. But why not an Indian product? This is exactly what we need. So that kind of global product we should develop from India. Large number of aromatic plants are there. Aromatic essential oils are so costly. Some of the essential oils are 4,000 rupees. 4 lakh rupees a liter. Such costly essential oils are there. In Western Ghats, we have 350 wild aromatic plants. They grow, die there only. Would they grow, die there only. We have not been able to bring even one crop. Now, suppose using your biotechnology or molecular hybridization or traditional hybridization, mixing one aromatic plant with this, and or we mix with this, whatever it is, depending upon the requirement of the essential oil industry, you develop one crop, you are doing the greatest service to this country. I think that has, as I said, all are available. 350 plants are there. The The entire playground is there, huge, vast playground is there, but there are no players. What is the use of a playground with so huge playground without any player? This is exactly what has happened, right? I think this I will skip. This one point I think you should remember, all the teachers should remember. Now, in South India, we have a large number of Himalayan elements, boreal elements or the temperate elements. In South India, we have large number. I don't know how many teachers have visited Nilgiris. When you visit Nilgiris, perhaps only you enjoy the beautiful scenery and come back. But as a botanist, you should see there are beautiful rhododendrons which occurs in Himalaya. We find in the Nilgiris. Now, how this has come? It is said during the Pleistocene glaciation, because of the severe temperature, severe cold, large number of elements moved towards equator, that is South India, and with the retreat of the Pleistocene glaciation period, instead of going back to Himalaya, they all occupied the Himalayan heights, the South Indian heights, like Anemudi, the your Nilgiris, all these mountains, high tops, they all occupied. So therefore, today on the mountain tops, if you see large number of Himalayan elements we find, and these are called Pleistocene relics. Understand what is a Pleistocene relic? Pleistocene relics are those elements which have migrated from Himalaya during the Pleistocene glaciation because of the severe cold. I think that at least you should remember. You should never forget this. Now I have made a big list in from Western Ghat itself. These are all the plants: clematis, anemone, ranunculus, corridor. You don't remember all that, but at least remember what is a Pleistocene element, Pleistocene glacier relic. These are all Pleistocene relics in the South Indian mountains. I think that you should remember. And there are also large number of monotypic. This is the typical Mysore, Chamundi hills and all that. I think this is the typical, you are all very familiar. So I will skip some of these things now. This is the scrub vegetation. In most of the areas in the plain, you will find this. In the sandy areas, like particularly in the desert vegetation, we have typical species like the Caligonum polygonidis, Caparis, Haloxylons, Halicarnum. These are all multi-purpose species which are used for a number of other uses also. And genetic resources are Ziziphus, Caparis, and Cucumis, Mamardica. These are all wild genetic resources that we have. We can directly harvest the genes and transfer it to your cultivated species for hybridization, or even for disease, for bringing disease resistance. Also, you can do. Now, in the mangrove areas all along the coast, particularly the eastern coast here, we have a large number of mangroves. Mangroves are also have a unique system. What is that? They grow in saline conditions. Pneumatophores are there, and stilt roots are there. What is this stilt? This is the stilt root. These are all the stilt. This is the stilt root. You can see this. I am showing it by arrow. Stilt roots are there, and vivipary. I think this you teach also in your class. But understand now how can we utilize man-made bridges with iron and steel can be washed away during tsunami time. Huge tsunami comes, iron and steel bridges washed away. But these mangroves stand erect. They cannot be removed. These stilt roots are so strong that they stand. They are stronger than man-made bridges. Identify those mangrove species and grow all along the tsunami-prone areas so that you can protect people. Utilize any property you see, you should use how best we can. That is bioprospection. How best we can utilize your bioresource. This plant in Andaman, crush this whole plant, apply to your body, and you can go and touch beehives. It is a strong antidote for any kind of poisonous insects. No insects will come. It's very strong. Such a wonderful plant. But again, we have to go for some product development. Unfortunately, we only know all this, but we have no product at this. So therefore, today, my last part of this is, anyway, I don't know how much time is left now. Yeah, I will complete very soon now. So therefore, there is a need that we should go for product development. What is product development? We should go for bioprospection. It is not so easy. Making chutney is easy in the house. It is product development is not like that. It takes 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. But end of the day, you bring a product, that is the greatest service. So we have to go for bioprospection. What is bioprospection? Scanning the biodiversity for identifying better molecules, better genes, better medicinal plants. That is what we do. Today, biotechnologists came shifting genes from wild species to required species possible. Today, we can have tailor-made species. Look at this, I have written here. This is not my sentence, but biotechnologists have said this. I can give you a tailor-made species. So tailor-made species means I will go to a biotechnologist today that I will say that you take the gene from kaddu. Kaddu is pumpkin. Take the gene from pumpkin, put it in tomato and make my tomato like a kaddu, big tomato. So that is a tailor-made. Yes, yes, I can make, because this is the claim from the biotechnology, but nothing has been done. Now I also go to them and say that there is a biosweetener. There is a biosweetener. What is that biosweetener? Stevia. Stevia rebudiana is a biosweetener. That sweet, yes, identify the genes, take that biosweetener gene and put it in coffee plant or tea plant, so that you need not add sugar to coffee or tea. Being an anti-diabetic, very nicely you can enjoy tea. Now, can we do this? Yes, theoretically, biotechnologists claim yes, it is possible, but unfortunately, we have not made any headway. This is the kind of thing now we should do. But if we have to do this, at least you should know which is a biosweetener. Only when you know this, then you can do. But unfortunately, there is no collaboration between the two. So my definition of bioprospecting is in red. What I have written in red: conversion of traditional knowledge into a commercialized product, making use of modern science and technology, is biodiversity prospecting. I hope I am making it very clear. This is bioprospecting today. I think that we should do. This is biosweetener, as I said, this is not our plant. This is an African plant. This is our plant, the Stevia rebudiana. The leaves are almost 200 times sweeter than sugar. Take the gene, put it in coffee plant, tea plant. Wonderful. It is an anti-diabetic plant. I think there is so much of demand. Any one, by trial and error method, if you are successful, you become a millionaire. India has become a very rich. That has to be done. Yes. Of course, I will skip this. And yes, I will skip some of these things. I don't want to go in. I will come to the next one. And bioprospection, there is a lot of prospects in our country. What is a prospect means? Suppose you want to do, say, metal tolerant genes. Yes, we have large number of metal tolerant genes are there. We want medicinal plants. We have wild aromatic plants. We have aromatic plants. As I said, the 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 total playground is there, huge playground, without any biotechnologists players. So therefore, excellent biotechnologists are there, excellent field taxonomies are there, and well equipped, everything is there, but we are not successful. Why? Because of I will just tell you one or two cases now. It is because of only one reason, that there is no vetting between the field botanists and the molecular biologists. Because molecular biologists think they are an elite class of scientists, and a field botanist is only just a plant collector, collecting plants and all that. So therefore, they think that elite, that scientists, they think that it is not possible to collaborate. That's one thing. And say, for example, now these are all the plants from the cold deserts. You can take genes and put it in any of the plant. Now this is Trichopas zeylanicus. I told you already. It is gives you so much energy. There is a similar plant in the northeastern region called the Panax pseudoginseng. Similar properties. Either mix both of these things, or individually you can do trial and error method. Try to do something. Go for a product development. Suppose you are able to successful, it is a great fortune you are harvesting. Now this is chili. Chili plant is, of course, making use of your sambar daily. Yes, I think you are all very familiar. Now this chili is from the Nagaland and Manipur border. Highly pungent, highly pungent. It is devil chili, it is called. Suppose you touch this, your hands are burning so much. Even if you wash by soap, your hands are burning. Such a very hot chili. The local people, what they do, they tie a thread to one chili, immerse it in the sambar or rasam or whatever they do, and take it out. Next day, use the same one. So one chili is sufficient for you 1 month. Instead of buying 1 kg of chili for your house now onwards, you should buy only one chili of this. Is it not? But if you are satisfied with eating sambar, yes, this is a wonderful plant. But this property, ethnic property, has been made use of by the modern biotechnologies, particularly the DRDO scientists, and they have been able to making use of this chili. They have developed hand grenades, and by bursting the hand grenades, the terrorists, if they are hiding even 20-meter deep burrows, they cannot sustain there. So all the terrorists caught during the last 6 to 10 years comes from this chili alone. So therefore, bioresources can be used for biological warfare also, not only for human welfare only, for product development and all that, but also we can utilize this also. This I told that you can transfer this to this. Why it is not satisfactory, why we have not been able to develop a product, is because of this. The number one is no prioritization, shortlisting of species for different ailments. We have not done. See, I told diabetes. Diabetes, there are hundreds of plants. But which is the best plant? We do not know. That we have not done. And also, as I said, the uh, uh, the the non-wedding, or in other words, not mixing of the field botanists with that molecular biologists. Molecular biologists always take themselves as an allied group of taxonomy, allied group of scientists, and they do not want to mix. That's another one thing. And this is one thing which we are therefore, but unfortunately, as I said, the ethnic knowledge is also eroding. The much of the ethnic knowledge is eroding, as I told about in the case of the sacred forest. So therefore, it has become a priority agenda today now. We have no time now. We have to do right now. There is no option now. I think we have to document and go for bioprospection right now. So I think these are the last now some of the slides. Coordinated programs on major groups, avoid duplication, develop expertise, attempt infra-specific, develop consolidated national biodiversity database on that, and also we focused bioprospection. Focused bioprospection we don't have in our country. That's another thing. Everybody, there must be one person working on anti-diabetic plants of Mysore. Some person will be working whatever the plants are available in Mysore. Another person working in Kashmir, you will be working on plants available in this without knowing which is the best plant. So we are all wasting the government money on a plant which may not be the best plant. So therefore, that prioritization has to be done and focused research needs to be done. Thank you. I think I stop.